Good afternoon, everybody. It is Grant Sparks and
Nicole. I don't like to say my whole name.
Nicole Hotmod. No, that's your avatar.
You made that.
I did make up her avatar, and that is her avatar.
Nicole Hotmod.
Nicole Hotmod. You know, and speaking of avatars and authenticity, does it not feel authentic for you to give your avatar?
Not really.
Well, no. What is your authentic? What's your authentic? We're talking about authenticity today, and we're talking about Selena Gomez. What's your authentic avatar?
You know, I think everybody should have like a cool name. Like I think Grant Sparks sounds like it just goes. But
okay.
Nicole Hotmod doesn't really sound like it goes.
Nikki Ray.
Oh my God. You know there was a rapper named Nicole Ray?
No.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Nicole's middle name is Ray Ray.
Yeah. Ray. It is. And if you ever get my brother or sometimes my mom on the phone, they'll say Ray, and it's like it takes me right back to being a kid, and I'm like, I don't like it.
That's not me, Mom.
That's not me. Stop calling me that. So
what's going on with Selena Gomez, and why are we talking about authenticity?
You know, we were prepping for the show, looking for influencer marketing relevant topics, and Selena Gomez, to my surprise, I did not know this, has the second largest beauty and makeup line in the country. And so at this point, she's a billionaire. And I think a lot of this has to do with the kind of campaigns, the marketing campaigns that she runs. So the one that's in the news as of yesterday is this new campaign all about putting individuality at the center of their marketing with every side of you as a whole, as like a whole global campaign. And when they're talking to their audience right now, like every side of you, no matter your individuality is beautiful, and no matter like where you come from, I think they're speaking to everybody, every side of you. What does it say? Love your rare. I think that's
love your rare.
That's the tagline they're going with. Love your rare. It sounds so good. Like I want to see this campaign, and it's a bunch of pictures of just different women. It's kind of similar to the Dove campaign. Have you ever seen?
I do remember the Dove campaign.
Yeah,
what was the gist of that?
Everybody is beautiful, and everybody deserves to be taken care of. And so Dove has really taken on kind of like that front line of accepting everything is beautiful. Individuality is actually beautiful. We don't want everybody to look the same. And as a woman, I'm all about it. But I think more and more we're seeing marketing campaigns lean towards this because America and beyond is such a melting pot at this point.
It was the Dove Real Beauty Pledge,
yeah,
the Self-Esteem Project. Now, and we debated on this before we came on the show and deliberated. So we won't go into the political side of this necessarily, but we will talk about this kind of exposes something. So on one hand, we were tempted to talk about like what is beauty and how has social media impacted that, but that's a hot topic because social media is really giving us the freedom to put our most vulnerable self out there, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's accepted, because we were talking about is America in a moment where there's this progressiveness where like everyone is accepted, and I countered there's a lot of blowback to that. So we were like, well, I guess that's right. Social media has given us the ability to share our most vulnerable, but that doesn't mean everyone's accepting of it. But that got us talking a little bit about the idea that, speaking of people not being accepting of it, that's often our closest people.
Right.
So this conversation evolved into us talking about being creators. And how does your family, or do your kids or your partners or your friends respond to you being a content creator? So first off, let's ask that question. How far back do you remember intentionally creating content with your people, like in real life?
Oh gosh. I mean, besides being that like hovering mom who's always like smile for the camera, but it was limited to just kind of sports and special events. It wasn't like I was trying to curate an Instagram reel. So I was like under a different context, I guess you could say. So when did I start?
Yeah, can you remember like going out with your friends and being like, hey, I'm gonna post this? Like how far back does that go?
Probably only like 2 or 3 years.
Really?
Yeah, like even pre hot mod, I didn't take a lot of going out pictures. Like my Instagram sat at like 950 followers for like 10 years.
You had it that long?
I don't know, however long Instagram's been around. I never did anything. I posted random stuff and it would just be like, here's a family picture, or here's a picture of like us doing a song, and never was intentional. And so it was never really part of like my life.
Really?
Yeah. How about you?
I mean,
Mr. Blogger creator for the past 20 years.
I mean, I was creating content as far back. Probably the most intentional content I created in this vein was when we were doing missionary work in the Dominican Republic, and we had the Rookie Missionary Manifesto. I still have that PDF. We had the Rookie Missionary channel, and we were doing that whole thing. And I made a
channel, like a channel on what?
YouTube.
What?
Yes.
Is it still?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And we're so skinny and young. And it was like
bet.
2013, 2012, 2013.
Oh my God, we were babies.
And we were in Dominican Republic, and we had these gorgeous, island tans. And behind the camera, it was very tough to live there. But I was creating content, or trying to. Now, before that, I was blogging quite a bit, but written content is much different than the visual mediums we have today.
Yeah, because when you're creating visual mediums, you need people to participate or fall in line with what.
Fall in line. Hey, bees, fall in line.
Like, yeah, fall in line. Like be open to, hey, do this, go here, stand there a little bit, right?
So, okay. So you would say that just 2 or 3 years ago, you really started creating content. I've been creating content a long time. Jump forward to the Not Crypto Bros. We had that show, and they were willing participants. So talk to us about the annoying content creator in the wild. Influencers in the wild. If you follow that account, it's hilarious.
Oh man, that is the account that you love to hate.
That you hate to love.
You hate to love because I follow it. I think it's hilarious.
Influencers in the wild.
I am definitely one. I like humor. It very much lives in me. If it's funny, I love it. But it gives influencers a bad name. Because
what gives influencers a bad name?
Yes, because it's mostly women or men acting inappropriately, showing off their goodies, and it's usually in like a public place where there's kids around.
So it's not people that are giving it a bad name. Here, let's see if I can share this screen with you. This is influencers in the wild. There we go. Hang on. Let's there we go. Oh, where'd I go? Where's it at?
Add source.
Yeah, here we go. Oh my God, what does it even have? Oh, there we go.
Screen share.
Yeah, and here we go. Here's influencers.
I guess like as soon as you change it, it probably.
Yep, and it's not behaving. There we go.
There it is.
So this is influencers in the wild over here. Sorry, it's covering your face. You just
I don't care. I'm good.
There we go. And this is just influencers doing crazy things, standing way too close.
Okay, that's not even that. Oh my God, lady.
It knocked her phone out of her hand.
Oh my God, good. She needs this is the one. Hold on. Okay.
Wait. What do we got here? Oh, she's going to skateboard and eat it. Oh God, I'm already cringing.
I don't like.
Oh, it's over.
Yeah, that's not even bad. Like, let's go right here. Hold on. Okay. This is what I'm saying. It's always the twerkers.
Okay, it's just twerkers. So
it is. Keep scrolling. Hold on. There's more. But wait, there's more. This chick is at a pool, but there's kids around.
Oh, there's like kids just on the other side. Oh,
yeah. So
wow.
that's when it gets a little like.
And as a parent, oh, she's topless.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, look at the old people.
Oh.
Look at the old people.
So, okay, so that.
Have you seen this one? It says, "Bro, I hate living in LA."
Oh, and she got rats. Oh my God. So this is influencers.
It's also spooky season.
So this is influencers in the wild.
Oh
and,
man.
All the people off camera are suddenly almost complicit, right? Like the old people with this one chick who's topless or whatever it is. So like you posed a question before we got on the call and like, is this okay?
That I don't think is okay.
What's the line?
I think that if there's people around that you could offend, then you should do the courteous thing and find a way to do this in private to some degree, right? Like I know that we walk around Lakeland and we're carrying a camera. We look like a news reporting team. Like Grant has the camera. I'm holding a little, I mean, I feel like I'm reporting, right? But that's different than being topless and like seeing patrons around that could be like, it could be offended.
Now, what's the difference between that being staged and that person being authentic? When does one become the other?
Oh my God. They're authentically creating clickbait.
Well, and here's where this is coming from. As we've coached influencers and as we've interviewed a lot of influencers, nearly second to none, they've all said, like, go back and watch all 30 episodes. They have what?
That's a lot.
It's a lot of episodes. They have said second to none that when they found their voice and started getting authentic, regardless of the consequences, they took off. Now, mind you, nearly all of them said that when they took off, they got a troll or there was hate involved because maybe they went too far or maybe they pissed somebody off. A lot of times it's, you know, these RV parents who get criticized for how their kids are living or complain about traffic. And it's like, oh, first world problems. And they get all these haters and then suddenly their accounts blow up. Do you remember what blew up trying something new? Do we remember that?
I don't know what blew up on their page. I know what blew up for the travel show, the family travel show, which is the one you're talking about, them being in traffic on I-10 with their RV, and you just don't know what's going to pop off. But the thing that we were talking about is this unspoken agreement.
The unspoken agreement.
Right. That happens when somebody decides that they're going to be a content creator. Now all these people in their lives are going to be affected, from their kids to their husbands to their friends.
And your kids don't always like it.
No, they don't always like it. And there's a reason for that. And I actually agree with them, because other kids in school, specifically high school and middle school, are ruthless. They will screenshot, take their faces and put them on like other caricatures and characters. And like Kendrick sent me this one of him like climbing a wall and his head was like hanging out over that. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. But they go back to Facebook and they'll go back to their baby pictures and send that to a group text. So it's ruthless regardless. So I tell them, like, take it with a grain of salt. But I do think that it's worth mentioning that when you become a content creator, people in your lives notice you have your phone out more. They're a part of the content and they don't necessarily understand it and they don't necessarily like it. But it is, you know, it is start to be the reality. So I think you just need to have a really good conversation with them or bribe them with money.
Or bribe them with money. And what is it about this? So basically how I have viewed this is that people are on a journey, regardless of content creation or not. In fact, if anything, even before the internet, I viewed everyone as creators. I kind of don't like that word's been adopted mainly by content creators, because I believe everyone has a creative side. And whether you're working a 9-to-5 or building a business, I believe everyone needs to tap that. And I have for a long time believed that I want to activate creators. And now creators means something else. It means sticking a video camera in someone's face. And but what is that? When we look at that, it's someone finding their voice and sharing the world from their point of view. And now we're using it in the terms of sharing. But even before the internet, when you were in a hometown and people knew you for a certain thing, let's say they knew you as an introvert or they knew you as kind of the nerdy kid. And then you went through a transformation and decided, no, I'm going to live out loud. I'm going to be bigger, bolder. I'm going to pull people into my, like, for example, for me as a theater kid, I would pull people into my skits. Like I would literally just be doing a skit like in school or a shtick, and I'd pull them into it, or I'd tease this person and pull them into that. And they didn't always like it, but I was also finding my voice. And sometimes I went too far and sometimes I didn't. Why does this feel different? Well, and let me finish that thought real quick. Part of that was my journey to finding my voice and finding the appropriate shape of that thing. And for people like me, extroverts, I learn out loud. For people like Marissa with Wildleaf Wanderer, you know, she has had a much more introverted journey, and it's been a slow journey. It's been a very contemplative journey for her. And go check out her account, Wildleaf Wanderer. And we're really impressed with this account right now. Just like we lurk a lot of accounts, and Marissa just showed up and said, I'm doing this. She's made huge life changes.
Yeah.
That have impacted
But she
her.
already knows how to make a reel and like better stories than we do. So it's like the creator was always sitting there waiting to
Exactly.
Come out.
And so she's on these hikes with people and she's filming them.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure, knowing her in particular, she's being considerate in that process. But what is the difference? Why is this so different now? And people finding their voice, what is so different about it?
Well, one, I mean, when you're taking people and pulling them into skits, it's not going to live on the internet forever, right? It was in the 80s, it was in the 90s, and like there was no like long tail from it, right? Now everything my kids know, or even if I go out with my friends, which I can feel guilty about doing that too. Like, I'm like, I don't want to be too like an influencer content creator and be annoying to my friends, but there are real consequences to being online, like with my kids and their friends calling them out. Or, you know, I just think that because we know it lives there and it could be there forever once it hits, there's just a bigger, there's heaviness to it, you know?
I mean, some stuff about it, though, feels the same as when they found your baby books in your home. And your friends pranked you by pulling those out, making photo Xerox copies and posting those up around.
Did that happen to you?
Yes. I mean, you have to, like, there's these, it's like, it doesn't live on the internet forever. So maybe there was a hope that it would fade with time. But the pranking itself, the what we call bullying, is it so wrong? Or what? Let me ask this. You posed the question. There's an unspoken agreement that when you become a creator and start living out loud, could one say that there's an unspoken agreement that when you find your voice, that the world around you will have to deal with that fallout?
Yes.
Is there a parallel?
Is there a parallel?
Like from content creators now extrapolating, because I contend that most content creators are just on a discovery of who they are, and social media accelerates that. And those around you have to deal with that fallout.
Yes.
So I guess, what advice do you have first for creators on dealing with, or what have you seen work? Do you just plow ahead and let the chips fall where they may?
What do you think?
I'm torn at this.
I think it's something that you would suggest to anybody, which is, I think you need to actually have a sit down with your family. This is where it's going with mine. Like I've had individual conversations with each kid, and I've said, look, I'm doing this. I'm trying to grow my following. I want you guys to be my content because I think you're part of my life, right? So I had to have these conversations. So I think once you get to the point where you realize that you want to do this seriously, or it's that important to you that this journey take place, then you need to have conversations with those characters in your life.
Well, and I guess, and this advice would go to any creator we talk to, of at some point, you have to decide, it's not about content. At some point, you have to decide if you are going to push the envelope of your own voice. Now, as a public speaker, for example, in theater and speaking, we used to do this exercise when I was in my late teens, early 20s. And there was this poetry night, and it was not poetry that rhymes per se. It was like almost like slam poetry or beat poetry. And the crowd was allowed to boo and encouraged when they felt you weren't being authentic.
That's kind of cool.
It was very cool because ultimately, I mean, it was usually a group of people that you had been in plays with. So you developed a lot of trust. And when you got up and started speaking, they were basically calling out this: you are not speaking from the heart. I can tell.
Wow. Talk about immediate feedback. It's like social media.
It was instant feedback.
Yeah.
And you'd have to agree. You're like, I didn't go deep enough here.
Yeah.
And they would challenge you, go further until you hit that place. And once you hit that place, and they would sit back and nod, and it was your indication to just keep going.
Sounds like the gym.
How so? How so?
When you know somebody's giving up before their strength, like you know they're stronger, you know they can push harder, and you tell them not to stop and keep going.
Have you had that experience?
Until they hurt themselves. Yeah, I have. That's what trainers are good for. They push you past your comfort zone, and that's what social media does.
Well, except we're doing the opposite with social media. With social media, as opposed to my example of this crowd of people that are calling you out for not being authentic, and they're not telling you to stop and sit down. They're telling you to keep going until you find your voice.
Yeah.
Instead, with social media, it's quite often like, oh my God, you're so annoying. Just, I wish you would shut it down.
Yeah.
So my question is this: is there a right or wrong as it comes to following your creator journey, pulling people in? And I think you asked me earlier what my advice is. I think my advice is let the chips fall where they may, because like Wildleaf Wanderer, Marissa. She's up in North Carolina. She's encountered a ton of resistance. She's overcome a ton of challenges. She's had to face very difficult conversations just to get to the point. Now, it's more meaningful than I'm going to make it sound to her, right? She's really like finding her place in the mountain space right now. But this reel, she posted a reel like 2 days ago, and I almost wept. It was just so good and so authentically her.
Yeah.
And then I knew the journey it took for her to create this 60-second stupid little reel, but to me it was so unique. The experience was good for the public.
Yeah.
People liked it. She put craft into it,
Yep.
but she had to put herself there, and all that had to go into this decision to put herself in this place, like was almost like a 1.5 year long, 2-year journey minimum.
Yeah.
And so I want more people. I guess my dream for creators is, and when I say that she let the chips fall in May, she's encountered a ton of challenges in doing this. And so I guess when I hear about creators who are like, oh, my family's not behind me, or my friends.
We hear this with the spouses. Well, my wife won't be in the content, and they get annoyed and upset that they, like we've talked a couple of, like, my wife won't be in it. And I know she's the one that would make, like, almost like it's blaming them that the content
that's doing better.
If she would be in it, the content would be better, but it's like this guilt on it. But man, you see like these real riffs in this conversation that can cause problems,
Well, and this is why I think social media is just a mirror or a window. I don't think it's doing anything differently than amplifying. Now, maybe it's on overload, maybe it's on overdrive, maybe for most people's brains it's too much too fast. But for creators, for anyone not just consuming it, but for people in social media that are creating it, I believe it's absolutely a must. And I believe there's a decision point for everyone. And that is there's this line where you start to feel the tensions in the offline relationships around you that go, if I keep pushing, I'm really going to start pissing people off. If I open up my tripod at the gym again, it's really going to piss that one dude off or that one gal off. If I record in our co-working space one more time, they really might speak up and say something. Or my friends who are more introverted, and I actually had this, I started recording more and more and more, and they just stopped going to the gym with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
Well, I'm not going to.
Oh, you're not
Jesus.
going to call them out?
No, we're live. I'm not going to call it out. And so you look at that and you go, okay, so you've lost real friends on your creative journey. And it's like, well, if I were not being a creator and I were trying to find my voice in business or fitness, at some point, Michael Phelps had to lose friends because they just couldn't do the extra hours in the Olympic-sized pool. They went to the community pool. And at some point, they're like, this is just a step too far. And he's like, this is just the first step in the direction I'm going.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's any different than content creation. And it's the same with art. Like, if you're going to be a stone sculptor, like at some point you have to drive to a real rock quarry. Call them out, Grant. Jared.
Grant's on a roll.
Call them out. No, we're not going to be calling them out.
Yeah.
But like, I remember I was in high school art class, and we were being taught to stone sculpt, and I love stone sculpture. And we get these little alabaster rocks like this big, and the tools were here. And when you whack it, it would rock because it's small enough that the impact of that, of those tools would move it. And like, no, you need a solid piece of stone. So one day the teacher was like, hey guys, who wants to hop in the truck and drive down to West Palm? Middle of the school day.
A teacher said this?
Yeah.
You had a very
it's public school, yo. Let's go. And yeah, it was a different era. So he was a chain smoker. We sat in the back of the truck. literally in the bed of the
How
truck.
many students were there?
3 or 4 of us. Yeah, 4 of us. One Stuart Clift from Scotland. Shout out to Stuart Clift. He went on to Edinburgh Art Festival. He's a fantastic artist. And Ryan Phillips. I think Ryan Phillips was in that class. He's my buddy. He's over in Tampa now. Anyways, we got in this car, went with Dubaka. We called him, instead of Chewbacca, it was Dubak. He was this New York artist, and he came down to teach stone sculpture. But he drove us, and we finally had to purchase these large stones.
Mm-hmm.
We had to leave all of our friends at school and miss out on some of the festivities, the 90s high school vibes. You're not even kidding, bro.
Like, why smoking cigarette? Let's just get in the car. Like, you can't get in teachers' cars these days. There's like no way. And then you left students behind. Like, who watched those kids?
You just ask someone in the next class, like, hey, I mean, it's just literally like, hey, you're in charge of the kids.
Taking a smoke and a ride down.
But we missed out on some of the student festivities because I was also like the mascot and I participated. You have to make these choices, and at some point to move forward, you have to leave people behind. And so when it comes to content creation, and Jarrett is a living, breathing example of this. Jarrett was creating the Not Crypto Bros with us. Yeah. He also has More Than Blockchain. And at some point he wants to, I'm going to put this in air quote, Jarrett, go pro.
Yeah.
With More Than Blockchain and some of his crypto content. And we had a moment where we had to decide, are we going to keep going with Not Crypto Bros or not? And it wasn't the sole driver for this decision, but on Jarrett's part, and Jarrett, correct me if I'm wrong, you're watching, you can correct me here. Some of what was in his mix is, I really want to go further than these guys seem like they're willing to go.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And so when it comes to content creation and finding your voice, I just think it's the same.
Yeah. Well, the thing about being a parent, having kids, is you can't just shed them until they're 18.
Oh, the kids.
I got to keep them around, until they're off on their own. And I do think I can win their support when I incentivize them. Like, I'm trying to share them. Like I want to be a content creator. Content creators can make money. Content creators can go on trips. So I'm like constantly talking to them. Like, there is something in this for you. So if it's something like a spouse or kids, I think you have to gain their support. And then it's fun to create content, especially with your family. It's like the only reason to participate,
to be together.
Yeah, and to do something.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, to be silly. If not, you're like,
it's another way to play together as a family.
Can be so mundane and boring, the day-to-day stuff. And if I'm like, hey, let's go we don't ever do dances, but that's just an example. TikTok dance. Let's do the TikTok dance, or let's go run out in the street and what? That's not.
What goes on with your family?
I'm just saying, it can be fun. It'll give you an excuse to have fun, because whenever I create content, it's a lot of fun.
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be. Sometimes it's like, are you going to make me shoot this again?
Yeah. Well, if they're the director, it's never going to be fun. Or they put you in 0.5 and shoot video up.
No one knows what 0.5 means.
Yeah. Okay. Raise your hand if you know what 0.5 means, because most people know what it's because it's an Apple feature.
I know what 0.5 is.
So you just said nobody knows.
I know, but the public generally doesn't know.
That's not true.
She's talking about the Zoom level.
Everybody knows what 0.5 is. It's an actual term.
Not if you
trending term. It's slang in the teen community,
because
they do it do it to their moms on purpose.
We're going to ask Gen Alpha if that's true. Jared says, I agree 100%, Grant. As you progress in anything, you'll leave people behind that don't share the vision, can't match the hustle. Okay. Grant is one of the only people in my circles who I can honestly talk about in Florida with.
In flow?
In flow with?
Because it makes others uncomfortable.
Talk about
following intuition.
Following intuition.
What's FI? Is that an acronym? What's happening?
Or is it FL? Florida. That's the only Floridian I can talk to. And just because I know he's on the same path, tough to talk about dunking with people who can't touch the rim. Damn!
Oh, dropping the mic.
I thought there was going to be a soccer reference. Oh, financial independence.
Oh.
Yes, who I can honestly talk about financial independence with, because that's financial. Deep. And he and I talk, and I know what he's talking about now, because he and I had 2 episodes of a show that we were going to try to pilot called Friday Finances. I still want to do it. We own FridayFinances.tv, and I love the domain. And I still want to talk about it because the wealthiest people I know, they're not trying to gatekeep. The wealthiest people I know are talking about things that the average person wouldn't even understand.
Yeah.
And so they know that people would vilify them if they started talking about it. And they're just not in for the hate. Like, I know what works for me financially. I don't have to convince you. And so when Jarrett and I talk about it, we like to talk about it because I would say he's further along than I am in terms of financial independence, but we're generally on the same path of going, hey, stick with this one thing, turn it over. We don't get married to a single concept unless it's like, he's Mr. Bitcoin right now, but he is 100% convinced I'm generally Mr. Real Estate and small business, because not because one's better than the other, but because our paths had led us. Friday Finances is still a top show idea. You're not kidding, dude.
Yeah,
and it's going to come back, bro.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come back. Like, I think finances is always a challenge, but neither here nor there. Talking about topics that others aren't willing to talk about is huge. And I think that under the hood for content creators, they want to go places for themselves that their current peers offline cannot talk about it. And so I think my advice to the average person is, yes, expect the hate, but that's true whether or not it's content or just personal development.
Have you seen the reels that says you think it's cringe, but I'm over here living my best life?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
When people see you with cameras or creating content, you get that feeling like, because they're not comfortable with it.
Yeah. Now Jarrett's right here. I'd say we're both on the same page right now. If we both move to Bali, live off $1,000 a month, he's not kidding. Like, we have built some automated streams of income, and it's not big, but we have to change our context. And this is like back to Wildleaf Wanderer. This is just the number one principle. She changed her context, and now her content is just, it's murderously good. And so the conversation that we've had, you, me, and Amber, and reflecting on some of this content, Wildleaf Wanderer's content. But a lot of the people we talk to is, do we need to change locations? Yeah. Jarrett's in Bogota most of this year, but he up and is like, I'm going to Germany for a month. And he just does that. Right. And we talked about Austin. We talked about getting out of our context. But I think I love content creation for the same reason I like business. Ultimately, it accelerates personal development. You are faced with, do I have the grit to keep going or should I back down? Yeah. And if you say back down, like you did, it's my kids. Well, that is a good thing.
I haven't backed down. I just keep on trucking.
but you don't dispense with them. You say, I've got to figure this out.
Yes.
And so, what you realize is that I do have a no-go zone, a line that I won't cross. And so I just got to navigate that. But some of us has found there are lines we are willing to cross and probably need to, I guess, embrace taboos. Kind of like the Friday Finances, talking about money is often considered a taboo.
Not within the wealthy circles. They talk about it all the time.
It's what they talk about. Yeah. At dinner, they sit down and they go, hey, how was money?
Yeah.
We have a habit.
What are you doing?
We have a habit of looking at our business balance every morning. And I used to do it more religiously. Now that our companies are merging, we just look every day, and it changed behavior. This very week, last week, we looked at our bank balances and we were not pleased with the outcome. Yeah. And that changed behavior yesterday and today. We're like, nope, we got to sales mode, man. And we hit that number late last night, and we're still driving simply because we're unafraid to talk about a taboo, finances. Yeah. So anyways, food for thought. Selena Gomez. What did we learn from Selena? What did we learn from Selena?
What did we learn from Selena? I don't know. I think she was just kind of like a great way to start and segue into the real topic. Of being yourself.
And the unspoken agreement.
To embrace your individuality in your own journey.
But it's going to be shit hard.
Shit hard.
It's going to be shit hard.
Who fucking says that? Oh, shit.
You just dropped the F-bomb.
Oh.
On public television.
That's not good. That's not good.
Beep. Beep. But I think it's going to be tough. And I like that. And I think you should embrace that. And not that you should go and cross the line. You should hit the line and decide if that's for you.
Yeah.
On that topic.
I agree.
Maybe it's another topic, So anyways, check in next week. Check us out at hotsparkshow.com. Yep. If you need marketing help, website help, or influencer help, coaching or training, hit us up at Hot Mod Influencer Agency or Spark Site, sparkmysite.com. We appreciate you guys. If you have any questions at all about social media, influencer work, marketing and media websites.
Embracing your journey.
Or if you just want to talk about the lovely chicken I just ate, let us know. We'll catch you next Tuesday at noon on the HotSpark Show.
See you, Jarrett. Thanks for watching.